Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope you guys are doing good. As always, I am doing well. The understanding of this entire move abroad process is definitely a scenario that is not left up to chance. It is designed to give you an opportunity to work through what it is that you need to before you go. Understanding that maybe what America told you about life outside of the United States wasn't true. That there's a little bit different things that are going on. And actually, how about going about wrapping your head around, does it make sense for you? Now, you guys may be an individual, you may be a family, you may be somebody that's going with their partner. These things are all nuanced down to you, but regardless of what the party size is, one thing is for certain that a lot of you have some existing misconceptions about this. So we are going to get into tonight some things that are definitely on the topics of relocation at the very forefront, which are safety and healthcare. Safety in healthcare and the misconceptions of what is available to you, how safe or dangerous it actually is. These things are what may be keeping you in the United States. A lot of people don't realize that when looking to move abroad, they're willing to say, hey, I know what it is that I know in the US, but I am willing to give up everything that I know to hopefully have success somewhere else. Now, when you guys first probably heard about moving abroad or people, Americans living abroad, it might not have been something that was actually on your radar. Yet, so many people now, as transitions have happened, the United States becoming an interesting place to live, the access to technology, and more people are starting to see other people, other Americans, other people from different countries just going, traveling other places. The American piece definitely shaped it into something doable because at one point relocation and moving abroad was very niche. You had to be either some rich guy that had a bunch of money to be able to have the time to do something like this, or you were retired 65 plus. You had worked 40 years and now you can actually retire and see the world. But with so many advances in technology, how people are making their money, people are now making their money whether it's remote work for a corporate environment or creating online businesses. We're now seeing so many reasons why more people that didn't fit the traditional mode of moving abroad, now that mode looks a little different. Looks like people like me. I'm 38 years old. I'm originally from Philadelphia. If you guys don't know, my name is RJ Mood. And what we do here is try to give you guys some clarity, some understanding around this entire relocation process so that you can actually make sense of it. So many of you guys are doing the research and saying, okay, well, I'm serious about moving abroad. I'm seeing other people doing it and thinking that what you see others do, how they are doing it, how they are approaching it, is a cut and dry way to guarantee your success of moving abroad. Everybody makes it seem like an easy thing. Just pack your bags, pick your location, and then just go live your best life. And so many people aren't actually breaking down the layers of moving abroad in a way where it shapes it for what it is. So many people have looked at this move abroad, and one of the things that I hear often is, I didn't have a plan. I just went, booked a ticket, and just went. And maybe that person had some sort of success. Now, oftentimes, regardless of what you may deem success and what they bring to the table, they're not telling you any of the challenges, the problems, the dangerous situations they may have run into just winging it. They just tell you these success stories because we live in a digital age where likes, comments, followers, shares, views, these things are now monetized. But don't forget that just because somebody is making money off of content that is stimulating to you doesn't mean that that content is actually valuable to you. Yes, so many people are saying, hey, this is what you can do to go move abroad. But what about your scenario? What about your particular scenario? So when we talk about something like healthcare, healthcare comes down to you. Healthcare is not something when you say the blanket of healthcare, you're like, oh, okay, well, everybody's going to be fine. But no, what if you have some pre-existing conditions? What if you have some certain ailments or things that you need to have on your radar? Are they talking to you about what life abroad is like for somebody in your predicament, or are they just talking about it in a way where, hey, people will love this and consume it and share it with their friends because it's funny and it seems like it's going to be the best time in the world? But what does healthcare look like? What does safety look like? So, in this conversation and the conversations we have leading into 2026, what we do is designed to help you get it figured out. I know that the increase in the searches for to move abroad, the number of times AI has been used to figure out where the top expat destinations are, where can I leave and go out of the United States, those searches are increasing. The number of people that were ending 2024 going into 2025 looking to move abroad versus the number of people ending 2025 going into 2026 is extremely increased. I know it for a fact because of what we saw. A lot of it is based off of these two topics, safety and healthcare. Is it safe for me to look to stay in the United States, and what does safety look like and all of the nuances there? Is healthcare a thing? We just ended the last part of the year with the government being shut down. And the reason the government was told it was going to be shut down was because it was a healthcare issue. The premiums that had been extended for so long through Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, whatever moniker you want to put around it, those things were possibly ending. So one people said, hey, let's put some pause on this so that we can make certain that Americans get health care. All of the things that when you talk about utilizing healthcare, never mind if you're healthy, what if you're sick? How have those things changed? How much more can you afford in regards to healthcare premiums when you get sick? How much it costs to get better? The medicine, never mind what could be causing you to be sick that America provides in a very unique way. So a lot of people are positioned with moving abroad, maybe no longer as a desire or some sort of want, but maybe starting to look at these things as a need, as a necessity. But the unknown when it comes to healthcare and when it comes to safety in other places, it gives a lot of people a pause. And I understand why. America has told us that the United States has the best thing going for us. Healthcare is awesome. Where would you go to a third world country? Ignoring Americans ignores this often that they say that and believe it, yet see so many people say, hey, I'm going here because of medical tourism. Why do you think Americans, if Americans' healthcare system was not only the best but affordable, would they go to another country where they don't have to show all of the paperwork or have the thousands of dollars after paying thousands of dollars into healthcare? So we've got an opportunity here tonight to break the myths down around those two big topics. The question is not necessarily what it is that I say tonight, it's whether or not you have your drawbridge low enough to receive it, to understand that maybe what you were told, maybe what you were sold about what America has for you is not all the way the truth. America lied to me, to you, to us. Is it possible? You're damn right it is. Congratulations, you just getting your passport today, your new one. If you don't have your passport in 2026, even if you're not looking to move abroad, go get that. America's getting interesting. Make certain you have that passport, but make certain you also have enough time. 6 months is not enough time. Most of these countries will not allow you into their country with only 6 months left. So make certain you have enough time. Anything under a year, personally, I think most of the time it's 10 years unless you're like a child. Make sure you got enough time on there. The other thing you want to make certain you have for you frequent travelers is enough passport stamps, pages, excuse me. If you run out of passport pages and there's nowhere for a country to bring you in or stamp you out, then that is no longer valid. So just keep that in mind as you guys are considering moving abroad. But let's get into it because healthcare is one of the biggest topics that you guys need to wrap your head around. So let's talk about what is the normal situation in the United States. And you're used to this. You pay your monthly health care. That is $300-$400. Maybe it's $200 if you have a basic plan, depending on what you have. That is going to cover medical. They always treat your eyes and your teeth as if they're not a part of your body. So you have to have medical, dental, and vision. I've never understood that, and that's we go into a whole scenario of why that's set up the way it is. But let's just set it for what it is. You pay your monthly health care, and you pay your couple $100 for your dental, your vision, and your medical. Now, we talk about dental because everybody knows that's usually a joke. Now, if you got great dental care, go for it. But most of the time, dental care covers just your cleanings and everything else. And then these root canals that they're giving you, cavities, these things as you get older, those things are expensive out of pocket. A bridge, trying to get, I never had a gap before I had braces. And I have a very small gap, but there was a gap that wasn't existing when I was a child. But because of that and the cost of everything else, so many people in America are navigating dental care, never mind being scared of going to the dentist, just the cost of it. Even though you're paying this monthly cost, it just really doesn't cover anything. Depending on what job you have and if they have a good vision plan, you might get one eye appointment a year and you may need to get contacts but these things you may get an allotment. Those aren't the most difficult things to navigate. I would say the teeth thing is definitely one of the higher things, but they treat it as if you don't even really need your teeth in like seriously. But the medical thing is one of the things that most of us are used to. Some people can avoid going to an eye doctor if they can't see that well. I mean, they see perfectly fine. Some people honestly avoid going to the dentist, but you usually go get an annual checkup. If you get sick, you go to urgent care, and that entire process of spending hundreds of dollars a month is expensive already after the sale. You guys go and you say, I got sick, so let's go to urgent care. And urgent care could be $40 to $60 for, your copay, depending on what that looks like in your insurance plan. Then you get there, and the entire process is just, it sucks. You go and you wait in this cold urgent care, and depending on how many people, what kind of season is going on, you could be in there for 40 minutes, you could be in there for 2 hours. Just depends how many people over there before you got there. When you get into the room that they finally call you in, they bring in a nurse, checks your vitals, sits with you for about, I don't know, 7 minutes max. Says, okay, well, what brings you in here? And they say, okay, go take that and get your blood or get your health. Check those basic things. Then the doctor comes in with his little white coat and he spends about 3 minutes with you max. This entire process is three hours, and hopefully you got it on your day off. All of these things factor into the normal healthcare cadence of what you're used to and how you go about fixing yourself. They prescribe you a prescription that can cost $10 or can cost hundreds of dollars depending on what your actual ailment is. Labs, blood work, x-rays, these things are a premium. To go to a specialist, you need to go to a particular doctor in order to go to another doctor that gives you the right to go to the other doctor. And each of those you have to pay a copay. It's like a consistent turnstile of payments even though you've already paid hundreds of dollars just to be covered. What if it didn't have to be like that? You might say, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't it be like that? America's got one of the greatest healthcare systems in the world. What other experiences are there? Well, I will tell you that many places abroad do not operate in the way that America treats its citizens in regards to healthcare and how it is that you go about making sure that you're okay. And what that looks like is, I'll give you some examples. Now, I've got a lot of examples because I've lived in Colombia, but these things are similar around the world. You take a place like Colombia, and when I got sick, instead of having to go to urgent care, I actually just text the doctor. And they said, hey, what's your problem? I said, I have a cold and I feel like it's the flu or something. I don't feel well. And they said, well, what's your address? And then, okay, come to my house. Come to my house. They told me what the cost was to come to my house. I would say it was about $40. It was in pesos, but it was about the equivalent of $40. So the guy comes to my house and he says, yeah, we'll be in there, within the hour. Well, that took 10 minutes. I'm not saying I didn't know where I lived in relevance to him, but it took him 10 minutes to get to my house. And he came inside of my house. He was able to take blood, check my temperature. He said I can get x-rays if I needed to with certain things. I had a full doctor experience. And there was no let me go leave my house while I'm sick. There was no let me go sit in the cold waiting room for hours as if I don't have time. I have the time to do this. And I'm also not feeling well. This man came into my house, and from there, coming to my house, he was able to sit with me he sat with me shorter than I was in that entire process in the United States, but longer than any medical professional sat with me combined. He was in my house for like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, running tests, asking questions, asking me what my diet was, what things I could eat or drink. And he gave me even both holistic things that were like, okay, we have access to these kind of herbs, spices, roots. These things will help you here, and here's some medicine. By the way, you don't have to leave your house to go get the medicine. What he told me, he said, yeah, you can fulfill this prescription online. They have a delivery service called Rappi in Colombia. So I was able to take this prescribed medication from this professional and get it, because so many medications in Colombia and other places around the world aren't behind a written signature prescription. You need to go to 3 specialists to get somebody to give you something that can actually help you. What could that do for your life? Better question. Why wouldn't America tell you that that exists? Why wouldn't America offer you that? The places that they consider third world countries, you guys consider third world countries, offer these. I always tell people that, we saw something that was a global pandemic. And one of the most marked things I saw was they called all of the best doctors from around the world. And I think Americans did not pay attention to where these doctors were coming from around the world. Take a place like Cuba. Of course, Americans think it's a third world country. Of course, Americans think it's under communism. There's nobody there is valued like an American is. That's an American thought process. Yeah. When the ish hit the fan and they needed to call in the best doctors, these doctors were coming from Cuba. They were coming from Colombia. They were coming from Venezuela. They were coming from these places that you guys have been told have it worse off than you. And I'm not saying that it comes to you guys, there isn't struggle and things of that nature. What I'm saying is from just a healthcare perspective, just look at healthcare, access to being able to afford to get sick and get better, having enough money to where it's not the end of your entire payroll, not your payroll, your savings account, because you got sick, you had the nerve to get sick. That's what I'm saying. Americans can't afford to get sick. They can't afford it from a financial perspective. You can afford to take time off of work because you need that money. Their ends aren't meeting right now. So how can you afford to take time off of work that they're not going to pay you? So many people are running into this thought process saying, I'm willing to leave America and jump into a third world country. And it's just like, I need y'all to pause. I need you guys to pause and realize what you are dealing with, where you are, and what you are actually saying. Because so many people think that people are waiting for them on the other side of the TSA. Please, Americans, please give us your money. I see this all the time. Colombians should be so happy. We come and spend our US dollars. And it's just like, boy, let me tell you, America has done a job on you. That's why I tell people, when it comes to this safety thing, when it comes to this healthcare thing, you aren't in the catbird seat. You aren't in a position where you are in an advantageous scenario where healthcare is working in your favor. Your government just shut down for 40 plus days and gave you no resolve, and then opened back up and said, Frankie promised we going to vote on it. And guess what just happened last week? They voted to not extend the premiums. So what does that mean? That increase that you saw in 2026 for your healthcare? Oh, is that going to get retroactively taken down? I always tell you guys, when the price of the brick goes up, it don't go back down. And if you think I'm lying, remember what gas prices used to be? Remember when the first time it went to $3? They gave you the justification and the rationale and the reasoning behind why it was going to be $3. And then so many people were in a scenario and say, I'm never going to be able to sustain that. I'm never going to be able to afford that. How am I going to get to work? Well, guess what? You got to work. Guess what? You afforded it. Guess what? The price never went back down. We're here talking about travel. When you go to move abroad, you're going to have, a bunch of bags. Even if I tell you to only take 3 and maybe a carry-on or 2, you might have 5 or 6 per person. Now, I know y'all. The cost of bags. I'm old enough to remember you didn't have to pay for damn bags. Yeah, but 9/11 happened. I remember exactly where I was. I was in 9th grade when 9/11 happened in English class. I didn't know that was going to change travel forever and make me have to pay for bags everywhere I go. So why do y'all think that when the price goes up, that it's going to go back? Why do y'all think that? The premiums are not going to be reset back into your favor. They just go up from here. And you know what doesn't go up? The dollars that they give you. They keep raising the cost of living in America. Being alive. Never mind living from a scenario where I'm doing okay. Being alive. They actually penalize you if you don't have health care. But you can't afford health care, but you get a penalty if you don't have health care. Think about this, guys. What if I told you it didn't have to be? So when you think about America and the dream that they've sold you and wrapping your head around this first world things that you've got going on, so many people have left because the things that America has said, the first world, and we got it, I found better. They found better elsewhere. But it's up to you to to believe what it is that America sold you and go into expect it and inspect it yourself. That's why I harp on that, inspecting what you expect. Never mind what expectations I set for you. What do you expect? Well, I expect there to be good health care. Well, you don't expect that from the United States. Why the hell are you so adamant about it right now? Well, it's not safe. You don't expect safety from the US, but you ask other people, is it safe? You got comfortable being unsafe. You got comfortable being unable to get sick and affording to get better. Why are you having such pause when it's coming down to looking outside of America and saying, okay, is this reality? That's why I tell y'all this platform is a little bit different than what you're going to get on any other YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. It's going to be a little bit different here. The reason why is because anybody can sell you something. Nobody's going to challenge you and say, did you think about this before you went and bought that ticket? I may see you. I may not. But your success rate is not based off of whether or not you're in front of me. Your success rate is based off of you did the work that is pertaining to you about this move abroad. If you did the understanding of, is America where it is that I need to be? Is this healthcare scenario? Some of you guys have kids, and I'm like, the healthcare scenario is crazy to me because healthcare looks more different than I'm sick right now. Can I afford to get better? So many Americans don't realize, yeah, no worries, Manny. So many people don't realize that, health doesn't matter about just what today is. What about your tomorrow? I know you only live for today, but what about tomorrow? You got kids. What about their tomorrow? What happens when you give them food that is actively containing chemicals that aren't designed for human consumption? Long-term exposure to these things that are in the food are going to cause these particular ailments. The number of people that is just like cancer is just a normal thing now. It just comes on up. Guy, how many times you need to see the McDonald's experiment and you keep taking the kids to get Happy Meals. In the McDonald's experiment, the burger is 8 weeks old and don't mold. When I tell people about how we have to grocery shop in Colombia, I tell them, I grew up, with a bunch of people in my house. Literally, mom used to go to grocery shopping on Sunday for the week. Got to get all this food for these people in the crib, right? Okay, cool. Most of you guys may be used to that. Most of you guys may be dealing with that right now. That's maybe how you shop. But if I told you that the food wasn't supposed to last from Sunday to Sunday, that bread was supposed to be hard after a couple of days because you didn't eat it because it was fresh. Those vegetables weren't supposed to be able to sit in the bottom of your pantry, in your drawer for the whole week because it's not fresh. Like it's not real food. Go to any of the labels that your favorite brands in the United States, and they got things that they don't even allow in other places, the places that you have deemed third world countries. Yet the United States says bioengineered products are good. Bioengineered products. And if you get sick from the bioengineered products, how do you afford to get better? Better yet, the best thing about it is, so many people try to navigate that. Some people say, well, I'll shop organic and I'll only purchase these certain things. And the availability of those things is one thing. The price is another thing. And then the third thing that is also the most treacherous thing that you guys have to worry about when it comes to healthcare and what it is that I put in my body is paid labels. The United States loves a paid label. Man, this is organic. This is dolphin free. The fisherman said, there's no way it's going to be dolphin free. And y'all just said, well, the label says it, so they can't be telling the truth. They can't be telling a lie. Now, you guys have seen, and you guys are old enough to have been told a tall tale. You guys have seen America come out and say, my bad. I didn't mean to say it that way, and you guys found out it was real. So why do you guys keep playing with yourself? And that's why I always put the onus back on you guys. Make this relocation not about the content I create, more so about the questions that you could be asked on this platform that are designed to make you look back at that mirror and say, you know what, that's a good question. Am I tripping staying here? wrapping my head around what healthcare I thought was good and what it actually looks like. That man just said he got a doctor in his crib for $40. $40 a whole hour. Let me give you even something better. My dog, rest in peace, Nino Brown. My dog got sick. Called the dog, the veterinarian. Veterinarian came to the house, about $35. The veterinarian spent longer time with the dog than it was me. I told you I got about a good 45 minutes. The dog was in there with the vet for an hour. They told me I can get, once again, x-rays, blood work. Said he was dehydrated, so he was sitting there getting the IV. She had a aromatherapy thing. She had on jazz music, and he was sitting there with his eyes closed, and she was just rubbing him. I'm like, if the boys at the pound could see my dog now, never mind. He getting a better treatment than Americans if they get sick, because he wasn't feeling well. By the time of that, he was feeling well, got some medicine. He had like some. It was the weirdest thing ever because I grew up going to the doctor, going, with seeing loved ones in the hospital. These things were like this draining process. Never mind it, like physically and emotionally, but like the financial portions of it. It just cost so much every time I got sick. Yet I immediately saw the first time I got sick that all of the medicines weren't all behind the counter, and I had to go to 15 different doctors and pay 15 different copays just to access them. Yes, it's real. That's why you guys see people hopping the border, coming to places like Cali, Medellin, Mexico to get medical tourism, getting surgeries, going to Turkey, getting the full panel of blood work done because you can get it all done in one day for $600, and you would have to pay 17 different specialists and 17 different copays just to get half of it done. So I tell you guys, it will be nuanced down to where you go, what kind of services you have access to. Here in Colombia, we have access to a lot of different services. These things don't cost as much. The price to have a baby, people always walk down the street, oh my gosh, you're so-and-so, you don't have any children? Most people are like, that don't have kids, they're like, do you know how much life costs? You want me to add something onto the bill? Never mind the cost of having a child. If you have great insurance, you might still have to pay $3,000-$4,000. If you don't have great insurance, maybe they'll pay for you. Like, it's the weirdest thing. It's like having insurance is one thing. I got tired. I know you guys are tired of jumping through the hoops, just trying to stay alive. And that's what we're trying to get you guys to understand, that going into 2026, there are options. There are options that allow you to better your quality of life. The food that you're going to get access to is going to be naturally better for you, which can help prevent you being sick, prevent you getting colds, and not even realizing that these guys are in this scenario where so many of you are faced with allergies to things that don't exist abroad. My partner is very allergic to chicken. She literally cannot eat chicken in the United States. In the United States, no chicken, zero. Like, don't bring it anywhere close. Mexico, Colombia, chicken is perfectly fine. Why is that? What did they do to the chickens? What did they do to the bread when everybody is gluten-free? I was born in 1987. I ain't heard the words gluten-free growing up all my life. I've been through chicken pox, the pandemic. Gluten-free was, but what's in the bread? Why is it on the shelf for so long? You guys have to ask questions about what it is that you guys are seeing and what it is that you're doing. And they're saying, hey, this is normal. And then asking why the places that you have been told aren't good places have a better access to just basic quality of life things, fruits, vegetables. One of my favorite things when we talk about healthcare, and it comes down to, United States folks, and I talk about the springtime. Right now, all of y'all are cold as hell. Y'all got allergies going on. I mean, y'all got the snow going on. It's probably 20 degrees where you at. You guys are probably in a scenario where you miss the spring. But so many of you don't realize that missing the spring means the allergies come back attacking. Yes. And the reason why the allergies come back attacking is not because the world is ending or anything else like that, but because in the United States, what they have done is damn near like criminalize being homeless. They've criminalized just basically everything and monetized everything from President's Day sales to food. Food is a luxury now. If you're a human, I feel like you should have access to food, especially with millions and billions of dollars being spent on nothing. That's a whole nother topic. But I bring this up is because you guys don't realize that your health is even at an attack because of capitalism and what America is willing to put you through. So many places around the world that have been deemed third world countries have one thing that you don't have, and it's a huge thing. So, you guys may be new here, so let me paint the picture for you. Every spring, in certain places around the cities in the United States, Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, the spring comes, the seasons change, the flowers bloom, and what happens is an entire city could be covered in yellow pollen. The reason that's important to you is because if you know anything about how plants grow, plants are like me and my lady. I'm a man and she is a lady. The reason why that's important is because there are male plants and there are female plants. The female plants bear the fruit. They bear the fruit. The male plants are the ones that just shoot the pollen out. Guys, follow me now. I know this is science class, but I need you to pay attention and make sure you understand why I'm telling you this. Because every time you go and you see, why is the city yellow? Why are the streets yellow? Why are the cars yellow? I can't breathe. My eyes are watering. My nose is running. I need a Benadryl, but it's the daytime. It's going to make me drowsy. That's your life. At least once a year for some sustained months. And the reason behind that is because they only planted male trees. America took capitalism so serious that they said, I don't want fruit growing on the sidewalks. So when you don't want fruit growing on the sidewalks, you get rid of all the female plants and you only present male plants. So you have a bunch of pollinators with nowhere to go. So the next time you are in your city coming up in 2026 and you're in the springtime and you see a city full of yellow everywhere, no, it's because they cared about your money in your pocket than your damn lungs. You being alive. Well, you gotta come to Big Pharma, baby, and get some allergy medicine. You think the man that's uprooting the trees ain't got $1 in Benadryl? First you take the trees away, then you sell them the Benadryl. Now they can't get out the matrix. So many of you guys are looking to escape this revolving, this running into place, this rat race of I can't get out of this. It's ingrained in everything that you do. So healthcare, that's why I say it looks so nuanced because you think, what if I get sick? You are getting sick by the food that you put in your body. You are getting sick because your lungs are under attack because they keep planting male plants because they don't want fruit to grow. You go to a city like Cali, Colombia, and there's damn fruit growing on the trees. There's mangoes growing on the trees. There's daggone parrots flying around, free range. Like I've seen some state fair parrots flying in their natural habitat. You guys go pay extra money for places like Whole Foods to give you imported fruits at a premium for what it is that we're getting at it for the low. So they sell things in different metrics here in Colombia, the metric system. So they sell things by the kilo. So 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. Reason I bring that up is because a kilo of strawberries is like 4,500 pesos. So you're talking about $1.25, $1.50 for a pound of 2.2 pounds of strawberries? How much are strawberries in your local neighborhood? A half a pound, a quarter pound, a whole pound. Hey, seriously, think about it. Wrap your head around it. I need you guys to understand that it's so nuanced when it comes down to healthcare, and you guys are only thinking about it from what if I get sick? What am I putting in my children's mouths? What am I putting in my mouth? Am I going to have my mind when I get old enough? Because the food that I'm having is actually attacking my mind. So in 20, 30 years, I won't even remember I was RJ. Where are you going to get that? That's why I'm glad you're here. I need you guys to wrap your head around this in a way where it's not being presented on any other platform because this is about you. This isn't about me. Hopefully the algorithm puts me in front of all the people that I need to be able to sustain. I can just sit here and talk to you guys all day. But the reality is my job is more so a job of reflection for the person that takes this journey on. Yes, we can bring you to the resources. Yes, we can bring you on the tours and show you the apartments and do all of the stuff that the foundational stuff. But the legwork of being what you need to be, the intention of being who you need to be and going where you need to go in this journey, that is on you. I just need you to look into the mirror of what you've been presented from America and realize that it has been misrepresented. Now let's get into the other thing because I know safety is one of the biggest things. Is it safe? Black people love to ask, is it safe over there? No, the best thing, who's all over there? That's what they're going to ask. What's going on before I even get there? What is going on there before I even get there? And that's a great question. But it should be nuanced down to not more so, is it safe abroad? More so, how do I navigate what danger looks like? Most of you guys haven't wrapped your head around that, navigating what danger looks like, because America isn't safe. Where do you think in the world is safe? You walk and the streets are paved with gold. Everybody leaves their. Don't get me wrong, because there are most of you guys are first timers. So I talk to people that are a lot of times in a position of first time and realizing that I shouldn't go jumping into the deep end of never being abroad. And now I live in Thailand, Indonesia, Australia. Like, that is a whole nother day, brother and sister. That's a whole nother time zone. And you still got a lot of America on you to think you're ready for a grand stage like the other places where it's like it takes so much to get into that. So I try to give you guys places where you can have a soft landing with people that can be around you that can help you navigate what danger looks like there. I'm from Philadelphia, so me moving, after 18 to Atlanta to go to college in South Florida and these places where I came with a little something. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm not from the county or anything else like that. I'm not from the worst parts of Philadelphia. I wouldn't say that. Anybody who knows me knows that. But I'm not from somewhere where in Philadelphia you're not going to see anything. People think that because of that, that they can go, I like to call it hood hopping. They can go hood hopping in other countries. Oh, well, I'm from the hood in the United States. I can go live in the hood of so-and-so, or I can go, go into a hood and take pictures of people that I don't know because, I'm from the hood. Stop. So there's a person that comes in and, you guys have seen them if you're in the travel groups. You know their name. You may not know who they are, but you know their name. Their first name is anonymous and their last name is member. Anonymous member only shows up when they've gone too far in the relocation journey and they fudged up. They fudged up. I got robbed. Something happened. This was not planned. I didn't go into this thinking of that. And you guys have seen anonymous member. You don't know if it's a he or she or they. All you know is they fudged up. And what you're trying to do when you're going to look or move abroad is not be them. You're not trying to be the anonymous member. And this safety thing is going to be nuanced down to your location. And when I say your location, I do not mean your country. I mean your city. Yes, there may be cities and certain neighborhoods that down to you can do certain things, and then in other places you can't do those. I take taxis in Cartagena where I do not take them in Medellin, like flat out do not take them. But how do you know that? How do you know what to do and what not to do? How do you know what things are available and what isn't available? This is why the better questions of not is it safe, because you ain't safe. If you are in the U.S., I am glad that you are here watching this because obviously you're not somewhere where something happened to you today. But the probability of something happened to you in the United States is pretty high. Whereas probability of me gathering any of those things that you have to deal with on a normal basis, it's not something I run across my head any much as I used to. And I say that is because normalization will make you think that the world is doing this. The United States used to have a scenario where a mass incident would happen, a school scenario, and people would say, we can never let this happen again. We're gonna do what we can to make certain that children don't go to school like this. And I'm old enough to remember one of the first ones. And I actually thought that was never going to happen again. It happened so much. Things got even worse. People were going to grocery stores, going to movie theaters, going to churches. And it just kept happening. And not saying that these things don't happen, because bad things happen all over the world. But the number of them, the sheer number, what no longer seemed like randomness, just seemed like Tuesday. That's something that's like America's got its own brand of stuff. You know what I mean? American made. It's like America has got its own brand of racism. America's got its own brand of normalized incidents. America's got its own brand of what they would consider healthcare for citizens that they're trying to keep alive. America's got its own brand of stuff. And, when I got out of the United States and I was having conversations with, people, whether it was in English or different languages, I realized that what I was prepared for wasn't everybody else's concern. Now, you take the average American. They're going to probably be concerned about the very average things that go on now that are scenarios of you can go to grocery store, you can go to a bank, you can go to a nightclub, you can go anywhere in that country, you be in the wrong position. That's why that's why I believe in my Second Amendment. All right, Rambo. But you've got a lot more people that even niche down past the average American. Take people like myself. You grew up before you got a car, before you even had a driver's license, getting talks from your parents about how to interact with the police. went and grew up in a neighborhood where things happened a little bit more frequently that you thought were normal, that everybody outside was like, nah. But then you get into these scenarios and you realize that you go abroad and you're not getting that. You're not getting the normalization from the average American's perspective of what safety is and what you have to consider. You also aren't getting those niche down things. Their interactions with the police aren't so nuanced as they are in the United States. Now, they may be different, but maybe it's not a scenario where you're thinking, I did nothing and I'm probably going to jail. As a person that grew up in the United States and traveled around a bunch of places, have been pulled over a bunch of times, I was always told to keep everything as cool and calm as possible because you could blink wrong and there could be things. That was something I grew up. People tell their children this. You may tell your child this. They may not be old enough to drive yet, but you know how things are. Well, that is a certain level of trauma that I didn't realize until I was no longer around it and under it, that I was carrying around in the world with me. So you guys asked me about safety, and I was in Colombia at a bowling alley, and it was really loud, and I couldn't hear, and I was trying to talk to my friend, and I kept hearing like screams and stuff, and I kept like, what was that? Somebody okay? And my boy, he saw me and was like, hey, bro, we're not in the United States no more. Nobody is like coming in here about to go crazy. And it's just like he saw the look in my eye was of concern. And it was just people having a good time. And I realized that I was carrying this trauma, this PTSD around the world, going into places and making certain. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have your scanners down. More like going into places and saying, hey, I need to find all the exits because if I don't and somebody comes in here with a bad attitude, I'm going to be a victim. Those were things that I walked in and was extremely aware of, and noticing that I realized that, yeah, I can still go look where the exit is, but I'm not likely to be in a mass situation. So when we talk about safety and navigating it, I can give you some information on Colombia and things of that nature. But the one thing I want you guys to ask of your location, when you talk to a relocation expert, when you talk to somebody that knows your destination and knows the city, ask them, what does navigating danger look like there? They're gonna say, that's a good question. So this is what you shouldn't do. Because that is it safe? You're not safe. So in Colombia, navigating danger. So one thing I will tell you, and this is a global American statement, I don't care who you are or where you are, but this is about you. You have been taught to wear your bank account on your body. You do. You have. It's okay. It's all right. You've been told to wear your bank account on your body. You want people to know that you got it going on. You want people to know that you've made it. Buying the Rolex, buying the car, buying the bag, the designer bag. The people buy the Louboutins and don't ever. I've never seen so many bottoms of people's feet. Besides Louboutin wearers, they're like, hey, you need to know that these are Louboutins. I spent money on them. That is the American way. I told you, America loves showing you what it is. And this thing is in global perspective. Most of the time, the people that have money, they'll be the same way. But it's not often the people that don't have money are sitting here with these trinkets of stuff that it's not on their highest priority. America want to make certain that they came out and said Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Christian Dior were all made in the same all in the same spot, and they just charge different prices. And Coach is all made in the same, and Michael Kors, and they just slap a different brag on it, and it's all the same leather. And y'all said, I don't care about that. It says Christian Dior. I'm going to pay $1,500. Never mind this $30 bag made in the same place with just Michael Kors on it instead of Christian Dior. Like, this is the value and where you guys have placed it at. So when you guys come to me and asking me, is it safe? A lot of things that you have done in the United States or strive to do aren't safe in a lot of these places. Maybe it's safe in the U.S. That's why I say a lot of people aren't ready to hear you're not ready to move abroad. I know. They said, come, pay the thing. I'll take your money. But I care about your success more than about your money. Because your money is just used to pay bills. What we doing here? You think I'm here ultimately with these particular things? We would have more monetized conversations, things that are leading you. Comment relocation in the chat so we can give you a relocation. We're having a conversation. I want you to be feeling like somebody actually gave a damn whether or not you were successful. So wrap your head around this, right? So with this thing, you guys ask me, is it safe? And it's like, no, it's not safe to wear a $5,000 Rolex on your arm in Colombia. It's not. No, it's not safe to wear a Cuban link, bust down diamond earrings. No, it's not. It's not. But the reason why it's not safe is because the value of those things is such an exorbitant rate. We in America don't realize the privilege of making U.S. dollars. That's why the world is saying, "Oh, I just want access to be able to make U.S. dollars," because it is valuable if you can put your hands on it. But a lot of times it doesn't have value to you, the person that needs it and needs to utilize it. In the 30,000 in the U.S. don't go far, but 30,000 globally can go a lot further. So you take a scenario where a watch where you saved up and you worked really hard and you spent $4,000 on this Rolex. Well, that $4,000 could be an entire yearly salary somewhere where that would afford you a home and food as an adult for a year. That value couldn't do that in the United States. And you've put your value into accommodating those things, stuff and things that you need. So when you come and ask me, well, why can't I come out Louis Vuitton? Because the wrong people care about that. In the United States, the guy that's flashy, he's got Louis Vuitton, there's Louis Vuitton, that Louis Vuitton socks. And you say, this guy just a label whore. Or you see the person where it's like, oh, well, this shirt is 300 and this watch was this and this and this, or their whole outfit got to be $1,500. Like, I seen somebody, I knew them, they were like, you go to the laundromat, why you gotta have on McQueen shoes and the sweatpants, they distressed, but they Balenciaga distressed sweatpants, but you at the laundromat. Like, so many people's values are caught up in so many things. So when you guys say, it's not safe there because I can't wear Louis Vuitton and my designer shades and throw money like I could in the club in the United States, I ask you where your values lie. Because navigating safety isn't about what can I show people that I can afford. Navigating safety is, am I walking down the street and somebody gonna bust me in the head? What's the likelihood of that? Am I going to be into a scenario where I send my children to school and that's going to be the last time I see my child? That's navigating safety. That's navigating, is it safe or not? Your want and need to flaunt consumer things is not the world's concern. The only people concerned about that outside of America are people looking to take. So wrap your head around that when you think, is it safe? It's not probably safe for your American habits and your American ways and your American expectations. But that's why it's not America. I don't have any value to stuff. This is from Palenque. This is a chain that I think came with a Facebook pendant. My dad gave me. This is from Medellin. This is also from Palenque. And if my partner gave me this chain, it's probably the most expensive thing here. And this is not something worth thousands and thousands of dollars, because where's my value? I don't need that in my life. I left America and gave up a 350. I didn't have that stuff. I'm telling you, if you guys are really ready to leave, and you're really considering the healthcare aspect and the safety aspect, and you're getting hung up on, well, I can't wear a Rolex and the designer Gucci shoes, stay in the United States. They have a saying in Colombia, it's called no dar papaya. It means don't give somebody a reason for you to look like a mark and them to gladly take you up on it. Oh my gosh, I was walking around on my phone and it was the middle of the night and I was stumbling and I was drunk and I'm so surprised somebody ran up and said, give me everything you have. You guys, when I tell people, when we go through the safety thing, when we do our consultations with them and they ask me specific safety questions, I often do some reverse engineering about their question, how it was positioned, and likening it to how they would do in the United States. And I say, well, if you want to invite a stranger into your house that you met at a bar or at a restaurant, then why would you do it in a place where you don't know anybody and you don't speak the language? Why would you do that? Well, you know what? You're right. I didn't think about it that way. You didn't? Well, if you did any research and you said, oh, Colombia, the average person may make, I don't know, $500 a month. So 500 times 12, what's that? So if I'm wearing $6,000 and if $6,000 is the annual and I got $7,500 on my wrist, wouldn't that make anybody? I'm from Philly. So I ask you guys, you may be not from Philly, you may be from Kansas, the nice parts of Kansas. You might be from Wyoming, the nice parts of Wyoming. I don't know where you're from, but I just ask you guys, think about the value that you're putting in the stuff that you want to take and asking, is it safe to wear these things? And it's more so, why is that the value? And where did I get lost or you get lost in this conversation where you thought that that was the reason that you could move abroad so you could wear your designer things and you could show people that you had money? That's why I ask so many people, why are you leaving? What's the reasons you're looking to leave? Tell me. Tell yourself. But since we're here, tell me. That way, when you value whether or not you have a question of, is it safe? No, it's not safe to wear $1,000 shoes, $5,000 watch. It's not safe. But I often, when you get that, why do you want to leave abroad, America? And that's the best place for that, for consumerism. One thing I will tell you is, being aware is one more thing I think more people need to do. People walk around blissfully in the United States and in the wrong places too. And then people walk around blissfully looking like they're not from the local neighborhood and on their phone because everything is Instagrammable in places like Colombia and these type places. And you guys are like looking like a moving target. Now, I tell people all the time, there's certain things that when it comes to the litmus test of safety, I tell people they have to ask about their destination. In Medellin, I will say that there are a number of single black women. And I'm not saying that Medellin or Colombia is the most safest place in the world or anything else like that. But I know one thing for certain. Folks don't go to places by themselves and then tell other homegirls to come if it's not sustainable with safety and understanding of that. Also tell people there's a lot of families that live in Colombia from the United States. And a lot of people think that's weird because they don't really wrap their head around that because of the content that they're consuming about Medellin, Cartagena. They're thinking, oh, there's just nothing, everywhere you go, there's nothing but women and men selling themselves on the street, and it's just parties and drugs. If you go to the Lion's Den, you're gonna get a lion. But a place like Medellin is as big as a city as like New York. It's got boroughs, like big neighborhoods, like similar to Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx. You know how you go in Brooklyn and then there's pockets of Brooklyn. It's just not Brooklyn, and then if you're in this one part of Brooklyn, there's not another part of Brooklyn that's just completely separate or different. That's how Medellin is. Now that's nuanced to Medellin, but that's why I always tell people my golden rule of thumb when this relocation thing comes across your desk and you're actually saying, okay, I'm narrowed down to what city I'm going to. Do you know 3 neighborhoods? Because I'm from Philadelphia. You tell me, you cannot tell me Kensington, North Philly, and Abington are the same exact places. Why do you think these places abroad are any different? So when it comes to the safety and the navigation of it all, ask these specific questions. Not, is it dangerous? We're human. You're a grown-ass person. Things happen. How do I navigate safety here? My healthcare. What things do I have access to? Because I know the bald dude told me I'm coming out of some BS. So what you got for me? Good rates on medicine, access to going to a doctor and it not being a financial burden to me to where I have to choose to whether life or death, getting better, or having enough money to eat. These things are important to put into your relocation toolkit. Going into 2026, so many of you guys aren't going to get this message. So many of you guys, I'm putting this into the world. Please come. Energy, please bring all of the people that need to hear this message. Not because it's got to come from me, but because so many people need to hear this. You guys need to wrap your head around this particular move, and it is not the exact same as anything else that you've ever done. It is the first move that you could actually have to transform and change your life. But you could transform your life in all negative ways if you don't do it the right way. If you don't take the education and inspiration that can be found on this platform and actually apply it to you. To you. That's why we do the consultations, because I need to know what's your issue, what's your problem, what you're looking for. Why did you even put this place on your radar? What's going through your head? Talk to me. How can I help you? We do these things because this is important to the increasing the probability of your success when looking to move abroad. I will tell you guys can always make certain to go to moodtravelabroad.com. We have done our best to put all of the resources there so that way you can access them at any time you want. Our video on demand webinars are available to you. we have done our conferences. There is the Colombia conference, as well as the Colombia, Mexico, South Africa, and Panama conference that literally takes over 5 hours of on-demand videos and gives you access to them. That way, if you guys aren't ready to go book a relocation tour, aren't ready to come check us out on the other side of the TSA and actually get down on the ground in the place where you're looking to go, you can stay at home, sit right where you are, and get some real information from vetted resources, experts, parents that have made the move, immigration experts, healthcare experts, people that can tell you what the cost of living is like, give you guys more detailed and in-depth information so that you could figure out, am I ready to give up my $3,000 shoes for a lifestyle that money can't provide, a quality of life, a peace, a happiness, a stability that I'm not receiving, hoarding all of these stuff and things? This webinar allows you to do so. Or you may be at the position you're saying, 2026 is my year. Medellin, here I come. Well, not only do we have Medellin, but we have Santa Marta, Cali, Colombia, as well as Playa del Carmen, Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, Cape Town, South Africa, as well as Panama City, Panama, and surrounding areas. The reason that's important to you, when you go to movetravelabroad.com, you can get signed up for our relocation tours. Go on at least one. Depending on where you're looking, you may need to go on more. But the relocation tour is designed to give you boots on the ground and really get you to understand what you're going to live like there as a local. We take you to neighborhoods, so we show you the 3 neighborhoods that you're going to need to have in your cap. We show you the apartments and what those look like and the different nuances of walkability in different neighborhoods, accessibility to things, how to shop like a local, both grocery store and the local market, even something down to how to get money out of the ATM, because you'd be surprised how many people end up leaving their card in the Colombian bank. These things are important, and you can't go find other places that is going to connect you in a way like these conversations do and these resources do to this entire thought process of you moving abroad and actually having success. Now, get the information that you need, get connected to the resources, start building community ahead of you cutting all of those anchors that you have in the United States, changing your entire life, thinking that the unknown is the best way. Well, the only way you're going to have a certainty of that is by getting the resources that you need to feel a little bit more stable about this decision and taking that unknown and giving you guys something that you can actually use to turn that dream into reality. I hope tonight has been very helpful for the people that have stayed on. For the people that are watching the replay, shout out to you guys. Definitely jump in the comments. Let me know what you guys have on your heads, man. I know there's so many people that are looking to move abroad, don't have a friend, a big brother, a little cousin, whatever it is that you want to look at me as, somebody that's wanting to walk through these stages with them, talk to them about the meanings and the messages that they need to wrap their heads around when looking at living life in a different location. But honestly, we do this because nobody was there for us. So many people did not have somebody to kind of get them ready for the relocation journey in a way where they could actually use it. We do what we can to help you reflect on the journey that you're going to take, as well as connect you to the resources that you need. You guys can go to movetravelabroad.com, sign up for the relocation tour. We're looking forward to welcoming everybody that's serious about relocation, especially to Medellin, and getting you guys on the ground and connected with the resources. You guys can also go on YouTube, Black Expat Life Abroad. There you will find all of our conversations, over 300 videos from the last 2.5 years that we've been out here connecting you guys, having the conversations, the tough ones, the ones that nobody had with us that we realized somebody should have had with us. You guys jump in my DMs, my comments. Let me know what it is that's on your mind, what we may need to cover. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. to cover a new topic. Make certain that they are tapping into the resources that we have at movetravelabroad.com. Make certain they're in my inbox letting me know if they need our services, they need a consultation, they need to just bounce some ideas. Yes, I'm a busy person. It does cost, but I promise you it will be worth it. And if not, you guys have over 300 hours of videos to go watch and get the real information also. So thank you as always. My name is RJ. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for jumping in the comments for the people that have been here. I'll see you guys mañana. Hasta luego.